Hi, I'm Nancy Millar, and I'm here with a very dear friend of mine, Rey Rodriguez, who works here at Bentsen State Park at the World Birding Center here in Mission. And hi, Roy.
Hi, Nancy.
Good to see you.
Happy to see you.
Thank you, thank you. I really wanted to just talk a little bit about your background and how you ended up here, how you got interested in doing something kind of not in the mainstream of what a lot of people would think about doing when they grew up.
Yeah, well, my background is kind of similar to a lot of Texans, to a lot of people who live here, hunting and fishing. You know, you spend a lot of time outdoors. You do some camping. You get to see, wildlife, and it kind of changes you a little bit. Especially when you hunt, you get your hands a little dirty, but you learn about game laws, and you learn about trends, and you learn about seasonality, and you kind of become a naturalist when you're doing it. Later on, I became a bird watcher, and it took all of those skills from the outdoorsy Boy Scout camping skills, and kind of applied them to bird watching, and found out I had a bit of a knack to guide, and so I ended up guiding, and from the guiding, I ended up doing this.
I'm sorry, that is a serious understatement there because a little bit of a knack. This guy is one of, if not the most popular guides in the whole Rio Grande Valley of Texas.
That's very
well,
nice.
But it's true.
How many of us are there? I'm that popular.
There are a lot of us.
Oh,
A lot of y'all.
There's a lot of us.
Never enough, though. Never
Yeah,
enough.
there's never enough.
Yeah. So, did you have a mentor?
The one thing that I do remember is, no, I did not have a mentor at first. Like a lot of bird watchers, you spend a lot of time alone. It becomes a solitary hobby because nobody wants to come out and play. But I did have a lot of encouragement starting out. Actually, I went to my very first time out was at an old McAllen festival that we don't really see anymore, but it's the Texas Tropics Nature Festival in 1997. And at the end of the program, I was very enthusiastic about the whole thing. I was really happy. I was having a good time. I was the only local that was there, which I thought was kind of strange, except for maybe the bus driver. I was the only guy that wasn't from out of town, or different looking. But Jane Kittleman was a person who really encouraged me that day. She said, if you want to get more people that like you, because I was wondering where are all the locals at. She says maybe you should be doing something. Maybe you should be, and for lack of a better word, the poster boy. And I thought, that was a little strange to be asking me, who I'm a beginner, to be asking me to be the face of birding or something like that. But I understood what she meant, because while I was there, I felt a little strange. Here's a local festival for local people, and there are no locals. And what I mean by local is that we're 90-some% Latinos here, and where were all the Latinos? The birders were great, and that was the encouragement I got from them was great. But my initial kind of mentoring was really more of an encouragement that I got from her, and she really pushed me along, and she was right when it came right down to it. Where were all the people that kind of look like us and sound like us and make us feel more comfortable? And when you're in front of a group of people who might not think that this is even around, and have no idea that this place is here, how do you draw them in? And I think that a lot of times making them feel comfortable by seeing someone that looks like them or speaks their language will really draw them out. So yeah, I've been very lucky.
So do you speak much Spanish when you're
Un poquito. Yeah, I speak Spanish, and I've done the work in Mexico, and now we have a lot more visitors coming in from Mexico. It's good to have that. It comes in very handy to be able to have both languages here.
You're having more people from Mexico come here to Bentsen?
We're having more and more people. It's 2013 now, and
great.
we're getting a lot more
Mexican
visitation than we did, let's say, a couple of years ago.
Really?
Yeah. So it's come in. It's a tool that I'm having to use a lot more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. That's wonderful. So what kind of advice could you offer to a person, young or old, who was interested in getting into something like this, or maybe just doesn't know what he or she might want to do, but knows that it needs to involve the outdoors?
Yeah, there's. I think one of the things that we've been seeing is there's a big trend in education for environmental, science, and for the kids that are geeky and like the science and like the math, that's fine. And for people who like to be out in the field, that's great. But I think for a lot of us, or for a lot of people that are maybe coming into it, who feel like they're an outsider, They need to remember that there is most of the, I guess most of the barriers are perceived, and we kind of put them on ourselves. If you're the odd man out in the group, you're gonna feel odd all the time. But once you start doing what you love and doing it where you want to do it, then everything kind of just happens. People respond to your enthusiasm. People respond to the fact that you love what you do, and they want to be around people like that. And I think that it doesn't really matter where you come from. Everybody belongs, and I think that especially in Texas, we're down here, we're so used to having so much bicultural
Yeah.
things happening. We have
Yeah.
Mexico, we have the Winter Texans, we have the locals. That I think people are used to, the new and the different, and I think it's a good place to work. It's a good place for people to start out their careers, and there are enough people out here to encourage and to teach and to mentor. It's just that people got to just reach out. We're here. Yeah.
Well, okay, so what if somebody isn't from this area of Texas? What if they're from some other state or North Texas or something? Is there something that you could suggest to them as far as what they might want to study or how they might want to start getting involved somehow?
Getting involved in like environmental jobs
Yeah,
and those kind of
yeah.
things. Well, because it's such a popular place, and because there's people who, I mean, we're on the map. I mean, people know who we are. And this whole region has become kind of a mecca for outdoor kind of enthusiasts. Not just hunting and fishing, but you name it. If it's butterflies or photography or birds. We actually are hiring a new person here who's going to be our new naturalist, and she's coming all the way from Washington State.
Really?
Now, when you think about somebody who's uprooting their life to go to someplace completely different, I'm sure she checked it out before she decided, well, do I really want this job? And I met her, and she's really nice, and I wonder about that myself. Would I be able to leave my world to go to do something else? Her love for the outdoors, and the fact that she's seen just how much opportunity is out here. I don't think I'd uproot my life for one job, but there's 4 state parks, 3 national wildlife refuges. There's a bunch of nonprofits. There's 9 world birding centers. There's enough of a product here that people who are kind of into nature careers would have a future here. And I think that the people here are friendly enough, and the food's great, and that I think people would find a whole new life here, and not be so homesick when they settle in. Once
So-
they get used to the weather.
So you said the new person is female. So
It's a female, yeah.
you're
and-
finding more and more women are
Oh
getting,
yeah, actually, some of the numbers, and it's hard to keep track of some of these things because they show, for example, bird watching as being a huge pastime. Females have already kind of surpassed men. It's maybe 60% women doing the birding now, what it used to be a guy thing, and they do it differently. Women, are birding to enjoy it, to learn, have fun. A lot of guys like to compete, and that's kind of a man thing. But still, I think everyone can, side by side, everybody's doing the same thing. It's the love for nature. It's this need for conservation and habitat restoration, and going to places that do it right as the model for every place else. And I think that we strive for that, and I think we've been able to show that we do that here. In a lot of ways better than other people do it in other places.
Yeah, I think that's probably true. And so a lot of people I know come here mainly for the birding. But do you find that a lot of people, once they get here and they're birding, that they're interested also in the plants and the other critters and such?
Yeah, it's this biomass that we have here. We have so much diversity for a place that, just like a lot of places around the country, for a place that's lost lots of habitat, fragmentation of forests. This whole area is a delta, and it's been converted into farmlands. We still have lots and lots of plants, lots and lots of different types of animals, and the bird watchers come down and they see the butterfly watchers, and they want to do that. Then they see the dragonfly watchers, and they want to do that. and you become an all-around naturalist, because they all have to learn the plants that the butterflies are feeding on. They have to learn the other insects that the dragonflies are chasing, and it becomes this whole new learning experience. And you go from just being this one-trick pony on birds to being an all-around naturalist. And I tell you, now with the technology that's available to us, we're able to kind of all be pretty good at it, because you can just look it up very quickly. So it's a little more challenging for us because we're supposed to have the answers, but we're learning as much from our visitors as we are on our own.
Well, that's
Yeah.
really neat. Yeah, well, that just surprised me. The very first time I ever went on a birding trip was over 20 years ago, and it was down here, and it was with Jane Kittleman, not and some other people. And I remember being surprised that here we are, we're looking for birds, and she saw a butterfly, and she started talking about the butterfly.
Yeah.
And that's, I guess, when it really hit me that it's not just it's not so focused. It really kind of lends itself to learning everything, or at least being open to learning everything.
Yeah, I think there was a time when birds birds and birding was the obsession. But I think there was a time when people, bird watchers, would say, "Don't look at anything but birds. I don't care about that's bird food. I don't care about that." But yeah, now people on their own feel like knowing a little bit about everything, or at least asking questions about everything, makes them feel more connected to the natural world, because there's more going on than just a couple of pretty flowers and a couple of pretty birds. It's all connected, and when you start seeing that diversity, then it really does make you appreciate it a lot more.
Is there anything I haven't asked you that you'd like to mention?
Anything you haven't asked me? Well, I tell you, one of the things that I let people know, and that I tell the students and everything, is I remind them, is that we live in just kind of a very, very special time in history. This is the one time in history where we actually can all communicate, and it's a time when we've all proven that we can, be detrimental to the planet, but we can also kind of fix things. Maybe not everything, but we can make a difference. And I think that one person can make a difference, and a group of like-minded people can really change the world. So I try to remind these kids that, as bad as, the things can be, all the crazy horror stories that they might hear about, oh, well, it's all gone, or global warming and all these things, we still have to share the planet. We still have to leave something behind. So we're in a good position right now. If we have our heads screwed on right, I think that we can make a difference, and in the long run, we can still have this stuff here. It doesn't have to end with our generation. It didn't end with mine when I thought it was all over when I was a kid, and it's all still here. I think we just need to get outside. We got to get outside.
And that's a great message, I think, to end on. So, thank you so much, Roy. You are so loved here. Everybody
Nancy.
It's true. Everybody who meets you just can't stop talking about how knowledgeable you are and how enthusiastic you are, and what a difference you make in their experience being down here and understanding more about our nature. You really are one of our local natural resources.
Well, thank you very much. It's I think it's like with anything else. If you love to do it, then people wanna have that feeling too, and our job is to draw them in. And if it takes me having the best day of my life over and over, then I'm happy to do it. Yeah. Thank you, Nancy.
Thanks very much.
You're welcome.